Okay, we should be live, and I'm here with Argent. How's it
Hey,
going, Argent?
good. Thanks for having me on, man.
And
Been
I'm
wanting to
gonna,
do a stream about this actually.
yeah. So we're gonna be talking about the the America Felt It organization.
America Fisted.
America Felt It. Yeah, there's a lot to cover. Cozy TV, the Ralph Mail. I was saying to Argent before we went live. I feel like describing all this is like if somebody came up to me and asked me about a comic book character I know way too much of. I'd be like, I don't even know where to start.
I was trying to explain Ralph to my father the other day, and he just didn't get it. I'm like, yeah, so this dude went to Portugal, he got beat up, and then he went back to Portugal and he got beat up again.
Again,
And he's just like, what?
you
But
you. And by the way, how Ralph is a couple years younger than me, I believe. I'm 38, 39. Good Lord,
mhm,
where does the time go? I think he's a couple years younger than me. He looks 55.
at least.
Like his hair is all, I've got a little bit of gray. I got a little bit of gray, speckled here and there. Ralph is all, his hair is white as a ghost.
Especially in that fight video, he literally does look like he's 60. Like he's only 4 years older than me, and he looks like
He
he's
looks
20 years
he looks
older than me.
bad. He
Mhm.
looks bad for his age. Like, okay, yeah, he's fat, but like, I mean, people were making fun of that too. Like, he looks. I guess it's because he lost weight really rapidly going to jail and then got fat again. It's like shrinking a picture down and blowing it back up. But he looks like a fat guy that's melting.
And then there's the bifurcated gunt.
The four tits.
I don't even like. I don't even. It doesn't even make sense. Um, but I was trying to explain, like, I was trying to tell him my dad about like the sex tape and like the going to Portugal. And he's like, he didn't get like he. It's funny whenever you try to explain this shit. Like my mother tried to ask me what an incel was once, and I just told her it was a form of weaponized autism. But but he's like, so he went to another country to own Andy Worski, and I'm like, yeah. How would that own him? I'm like, I don't know.
You know, well, you have to have a high IQ to understand the Ralph Mail.
You do.
You have to not only watch Rick and Morty, you have to eat the DVDs to really absorb that high IQ energy, the Ralph Mail energy. I here's Argent. Did you hear about the Simpcast?
Is that where like the bunch of e-girls
Yeah.
made
Okay.
fun
So
of Ralph? Yeah.
yeah, I want you to imagine. Now I didn't know about the Simcast. I went and subscribed to their channel after this because I got maybe I should check them out. But yeah, it's a bunch of like right leaning e thoughts, hosting a podcast, and I just want you to imagine this. Just put yourself in this position if you can. 5 attractive women to an audience of hundreds, if not thousands of people. I don't know how many people watch this, but at least hundreds are laughing at how repulsive and sexually inadequate you are. Wouldn't that be like the worst moment of your life? Wouldn't you want to kill yourself after that? And that's just Tuesday to Ralph. Like, that's just another day. That's just another day.
Yeah. I mean, I don't even really know what to say beyond that. That whole thing was just exceeding. I don't know. It's depressing.
I mean, I can't imagine that. And that's just another day to him.
Well, that's not even a bad day.
It's just
That's
it's
not
a
even like
day.
that's not even like when his internet daddy shits on him, or he eats shit, or he gets beat up in like a foreign country, or
Twice in a row.
I'm gonna say this because you've been following e-drama as long as, if not longer than me. Have you ever seen someone with thinner skin than Ralph?
Yeah, especially a creature that size, you think would have a thicker hide.
Well, you'd think that it would, like, I don't know how he keeps it together
I
with his skin.
understand. I understand nobody really likes being made fun of. But I have always, and maybe I'm even being naive with this, I have always had the position that if you can't take a joke, you have no right to make a joke.
Mhm.
You know, if that's just how it is, don't throw a punch if you can't take a punch. Don't make a joke if you can't take a joke. So yeah, people are busting on my balls, and sometimes it gets to me. Oh well, you move on. But the amount of people I've seen over the years who, and I mean, it started back in the day. I would notice this with all the Channel Awesome guys. It's like, their job is to criticize things for a living and they can't take criticism. And then, you see it with, implosion of Gamergate, e-celebs, a guy I used to know very famously reacted very poorly to some teasing and criticism. Nick, Ralph, these guys, like he got made fun of, and these people act like it's time to declare war. Somebody made fun of me. I want to murder their children. It's not something I understand.
Well, but it's okay. So, but it's not even just like, because keep in mind, Ralph threatened to kill Jim. I think the first time because Jim made a pill shaking joke on I think he went on Flamenco's stream and made a pill shaking joke, and that was enough for Ralph to declare him his mortal enemy and say that he was going to kill him. I don't know, what was that show that Ralph was on like a week or two ago where someone read a super chat? He spent the next 20 minutes screaming at her.
It was one of the girls from Simcast, I think. That she was talking to him, and yeah, she read a super chat, and he went all Jack Murphy on
and just started screaming. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen someone who gets that upset. Then there's also the aspect of just him and Nick and all these guys obviously spend most of their day just Googling themselves and reading Kiwi Farms. And like, from what people have said, if there's even like some streams on YouTube with like 10 people, Ralph will flag them.
If I put Ralph or Nick in the title of this, we wouldn't make it through the whole show. Like, it'd just be shut down.
Just the level, though, I think is... I can't think of someone who gets as offended as easily and reacts as strongly as Ralph does. Can you think of someone? Or
he's setting the record. I mean, at least like Sarkeesian back in the day would just block you. Like she'd seed and cope and all that shit, but like she just block you and ignore you. You know what I mean? But like Ralph just spurgs. He just goes ape shit.
Well, a lot of people also who have are smart enough to realize that people who are trolling you or people who are trying to fuck with you are trying to get a reaction. And Ralph gives people a reaction more than I think any other lolcow I've ever seen. Like, it can be the most mild thing, and he literally will just have a heart attack screaming for half an hour about it. So,
well, he'll virtually anything can give him a heart attack. That man is not in good shape. My God, that is. If he lives another 5 years, I'll be amazed.
See, I don't know, because on one hand, I could see him dying next month. On the other, his like white trash genetics could give him like immunity to all this stuff, and he'll live to be like 90.
I mean, I could kind of see that, but like he's putting him to the test. I'll tell you that much. He's got city miles on his ass.
I will say this though, I can't think of anyone other than maybe Joe Exotic who's more white trash than Ethan Ralph.
Ethan Ralph is definitely the worst stereotype of the South you could possibly come up with.
Well, he's a Memphis 10.
He's a drunk, racist redneck with a small pecker and multiple baby mamas who flies off the handle at the slightest provocation.
Pill popping redneck alcoholic manlet felon.
You couldn't. It's like playing a game of redneck bingo, and you just fill out the whole card with Ralph.
Like, for a long time, Ralph was... It's kind of funny because Ralph was initially just back in the day. I just knew him as the host of the Ralph Retort. And I didn't really know anything about him or care about him like on a personal level. And he really didn't become the center of his content until I guess he got kicked off of YouTube. I guess because kind of when it started to transition to the phase we're in now.
I didn't used to hate Ralph. And I mean, I guess hate is even a strong word because, he doesn't personally affect me. But I think he's a vile piece of shit. And I think the world would. I think the sooner he's in the grave or incarcerated, the better. Like he shouldn't be among civilized men, but hate's maybe a strong word. But I used to kind of, just see him as sort of a lovable fuck up. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But whatever redeeming qualities might have been there, if they were ever there, they're not there now. This is a vile, vile human being. And he's not even the worst in this fucking circle of vile human beings we're talking about tonight.
I mean, he's pretty bad as far as the AF first goes. I mean, I'm trying to think, is there someone worse in like
I would say Nick's worse. Nick literally has the mind of a cartoon.
Okay, that's
Nick thinks he's Cobra Commander.
But like, and once again, we don't have definitive evidence, but it does seem plausible to me that Ralph might have raped Alice. And so like, just for example, that's so just that an example of something where like I was actually on Ralph's side initially for that one. I'm like, oh, it's just some e-thought. But then Ralph decided he was going to do this rant about how women are whores who want to be sexually abused and shit. And just screamed about that for like 20 minutes. And it's like, Ralph, that might not be the best way to get people to think you're not guilty. I find that with everything. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think Medicare said it best. Like, she's an IPU thought. Like, who knows? She's not credible at all. But would I be surprised if Ethan did it? No, of course not.
I didn't. I just dismissed it until he started screaming about it autistically, and then that kind of made me suspicious.
At this point, I'm just gonna say I think he did it just because fuck him. I know it would piss him off to hear that. Like that alone is enough for me to just say.
I mean,
this isn't a court of law. I'm not on his jury. Yeah. I don't owe him any benefit of the doubt. I don't know.
But for whatever reason, America First decided it would be a good idea to bring the Ralph male on board as their hitman. So
Nick was this was a really foolish thing with Cozy. Okay, is Cozy TV a streaming platform that Nick happens to own, or is it the digital headquarters of America First? There really is no straight answer to that, and the answer to that depends on how the person you ask is feeling over there. So sometimes they'll say, "Oh, well, he's not America First; he's just on Cozy TV," but sometimes they'll indicate that that's one and the same.
Yeah, like is Cozy supposed to be something like Twitch or YouTube or something where it's just a streaming platform, a supposed free speech streaming platform, or is it supposed to be a proprietary thing so Nick can platform his political allies? And once again, I don't really have an issue with it either way. My problem is more so that Nick goes back and forth on it. Depending on what day of the week it is. Like some days he'll say, oh, Ralph is one of the leaders of America First. Cozy is like the platform thought leaders in the movement. But then he'll be like, oh, I don't even know who Ethan Ralph is.
I don't know who Ethan who.
Look, I don't know who this dude is. I just asked him to be one of the premier streamers on my platform. Like, you can't expect me to do any kind of background check on this.
Well, Nick very clearly has the moral standard that if you are nice to Nick, then you're a good person. If you're nice to Nick, you're a bad person.
That's very true.
I used to know somebody else that had a similar standard.
He was not as successful, though.
He was not.
But so I admit with America, I don't even know. Like, it's hard to know even where to start. Maybe just to go back. So I admit I initially kind of liked Nick for a long time, and I liked Dave for a long time. Because I feel like when Nick started out and he was like 17 or 18 or something, I could excuse a lot of his nonsense as him just being like a kid. I mean, we were all teenagers once. We were retarded when we were teenagers. But I just kind of feel like as time has gone on, he has kind of regressed. like he's gotten to be more and more like a teenager. You know what I mean?
Well, I didn't pay a ton of attention to him early on because I don't really run in the trad Catholic circles.
Mm-hmm.
I'm neither trad nor Catholic.
Right.
But I really started to notice him in the Groiper War shit, the Charlie Kirk stuff. And I liked that a lot. That was awesome stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Taking a fight to Conservative Inc. and asking them questions that they did not have the answer to, specifically and most effectively on the Israel question. Why are we Israel's pay piggy? What do they do for us? What is the point of this? And none of them can give a good answer. They can screech anti-Semitism at you, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And that was effective stuff. That was really doing some good deeds. But right after that, things changed, and they changed for the worse. Suddenly, they kind of dropped the Israel thing, and they started going on about a porn ban, how we need to ban porn, which I personally don't like, just on a free speech issue. But even further than that, Nick started going on about you're a simp. That's when all this started, like the genuine women hatred here, where like you're a simp if you fall in love with a girl, if you kiss a girl, women are just to put a baby in and slap them and put them in the kitchen, whatever the fuck else he was going on about, like this really.
Did that happen after he got kicked off of YouTube?
It was it might have been around that, but it was right after the Groiper War stuff. And I never watched him on YouTube, so I can't remember if this really, when exactly that part of the timeline clicked on. But right after the Groiper War stuff, he switched to like a porn ban and really quote unquote anti-sexual degeneracy stuff. But he pushed it to the point of like, oh, are you a happily married man and you ate your wife's pussy? That's sexual degeneracy. Do you have anything other than missionary sex with the lights off to get her pregnant is sexual degeneracy?
Well, I mean, he thinks that that's gay too, right?
Yeah, that's gay. And then it's all simp stuff. And it's just, and then it's like, and he's encouraging real loser shit from his people all of a sudden. Like, don't go kiss, don't go find a girl, don't go get a job. That's wage cuck stuff. Just sit in your basement, sit in your gamer chair, I guess poop your pants like Dalton. Scream the N-word on the internet. That's your life now. My theory is right after the Israel shit, right after the Groiper War shit, somebody, you could speculate as to who. You could say it was the fucking Glowies. You could say it was fucking Mossad if you want to get fanciful. My theory is probably just some Conservative Inc. guys with money. They came up to him and they had the dirt on him. They probably had him blowing cat boys and stuff, pictures of it. They're like, look, motherfucker. You're going to sit down and shut up. Okay. We've got the dirt on you. Maybe it was even tax related. Who knows? We've got the dirt on you. So go knock it off with the Israel stuff. Go sit down, shut up. In fact, you're going to tell all your followers to be fucking losers now. You're going to diffuse your whole fucking movement. I think that's what happened. Do I know for sure that's what happened? No, but it's a theory I have that happens to fit every piece of evidence I have in front of me. That's kind of what I think happened. I don't know, but I think somebody got to him. Somebody got to him probably because even at that point, he was a closet homosexual. He probably was, at the very least, had a questionable browsing history. And somebody got a hold of that information and somebody put Nick in their fucking pocket. And to some extent, some of his psychological spiraling could be just a result of being someone who's in that position.
Right.
Damn it.
See, for the longest time, I was just, it's hard because as with Nick, it's like a case where, and I think this is why PPP is so effective in the way that he attacks Nick, is 95% of the stuff he does against Nick is literally just play unedited clips of his show. And I know when we were dealing with like Irini, that was the thing that he got really angry at you and I for, was just playing unedited clips of his show. Like,
I pointed that out with Davis once before. Like, if he would quote unquote respond to me, he would just make up shit that I said or twist shit that I said. Whereas I would play his whole thing in its entirety and then comment on it. So, if I would take something out of context, people in the chat would be like, whoa, that's not what he said. because I wanted to be fair.
Like how these shows tend to work is they're in segments. So like PPP will play like the entire 15-minute segment. And then like the response will be that's a lie. Like I've never actually met a groiper who's made any real argument that the stuff about Nick is not true, other than the clips of him saying things are either not real or they're taken out of context. Like you needed to have watched the like 3-hour stream instead of the 20-minute clip, I guess. Although I don't know what the context is of sex with women is gay and sex with men is gay, and the only non-gay thing is to be an asexual incel. I don't really know what the like context for that is. I guess that was
what is wrong with Gen Z that is appealing to anybody, by the way? Because I know some people act like he didn't say it, but a lot of people do hear this and they latch onto it and they're like, yeah, I'm not going to be a simp. I'm not going to go fall in love. Like, what is wrong with Gen Z that is appealing to anybody? Good God.
It's, and I guess
you're
like,
a teenage boy. You're supposed to want to go smash pussy. Like, literally, think of how much of society, how much of moral and societal norms are all about controlling the fact that teenagers want to fuck like rabbits, like trying to mitigate that. You know what I mean? Trying to keep that somewhat under control. And now apparently you have a whole generation of teenagers that like don't have dicks. Like, what has happened here? Is there something in the water?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just it's weird, and I know I'm jumping around a lot, but this kind of gets me to like, it really is a cult. Because I found whenever I've talked to like a supporter of his and I've brought this stuff up and I've showed them clips, or they've been like, why are you attacking Nick? He's the leader of the movement. He's the leader of the he's the Mexican child leader of the white race. I'm like, well, there's this, and this, and they'll be like, well, those are fake. Those are taken out of context. The other one is everything Nick says is a joke.
It's ironic, bro. He's sucking the dick ironically, bro.
Literally every single thing that he's, and once again, I mean, if Nick wants to just be like an edgy internet comedian, that's fine. But if he wants to lead a serious movement, then I don't think like the basis of your political movement being every single thing I say is a joke and cannot be taken seriously. I just don't think that's a good platform.
But no, you have to at a certain point pick one. You want to be the entertainer. One thing I've grown to very much respect about PPP, and you can say what you want about him, is the fact that he has made it very clear he is in the entertainer lane. Like people, he talks about theology every once in a while as it comes up when he's refuting Nick. And some people have said, oh, you should do videos on theology. And he just said, I don't feel like I'm qualified to place myself up as a teacher because of my personal fallings and, the persona I have being an entertainer. I respect the hell out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a little bit of, God forbid, humility. The one thing that is absolutely missing from everyone we're talking about tonight.
Or self-awareness.
Yeah, a little bit of self-awareness too. I mean, I'm obviously not on Twitter. I'm not allowed, but a good friend of mine, Andrew Banner, he'll go off on the Groiper sometimes, and they'll be like, "Oh, why are you collaborating with Jews to take Nick Fuentes down?" And it's like, I'm not collaborating with anybody. I'm laughing at the self-destruction of a sociopathic closet.
Well, that's the other thing. Like the people who say that it's like destroyed the movement, like. I don't like. I know in a more recent Kino Casino they had like Nick debating some random 16-year-old who completely blew him out, and the 16-year-old is like, "Could you give me an example of a lie PvP said?" And it was like, "Oh, when you said you had sex with the monkey," and it's like that was a joke. And he's like,
"Yeah, that wasn't a joke." PvP even if you took it absolutely seriously. PPP was insinuating that it seemed like you wanted to have sex with a monkey, which isn't a lie. That's an opinion of how you're acting. If I say it looks like this person wants to have sex with a monkey, I'm not saying anything definitively enough that can be taken as a lie. I'm not stating that something did or did not happen. I'm stating my opinion on what I'm observing. So even if you took him deadly serious, which obviously you'd have to be autistic to do or dishonest, it still wouldn't be a lie.
Yeah, it's just expressing an opinion. You can say it's a stupid opinion, but
yeah, you might say, "Oh, well, that's." I don't see how you're getting that, but it's an opinion. I'm observing behavior, and I think this of it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know. They're just. But then, so it'll be that, and then it'll be. It is just a cult. Like, you can present any video, you can make any argument, and it won't even really be addressed. It'll just be that you're trying to stop Nick from saving America.
The movement. By the way, what exactly is America First at this point? First of all, Nick very clearly doesn't believe in or like anything about America. He doesn't believe in freedom. He hates working class whites. So I don't know how he's saving the white race. So yeah, I'm not really sure what exactly is supposed to be this movement.
Well, he doesn't want there to be more white people because he's against sexual reproduction.
Well, like I've heard him go off about birth rates, and then it's like, but you don't want anyone to fall in love and then form a family. Where do you think babies come from, Nick? It doesn't come from you pumping like dumpers, okay? That's not where they come from, buddy.
Well, I mean, he said in the past, and this is one of the things that made me start to kind of really turn on him, that there is no America First ideology. There is no America First platform. It's just personal loyalty to me. And I'm pretty sure that's more or less a direct quote, that the movement is just trust the plan and do what Nick tells you.
It basically is. It's this weird, I don't know how to say, it's like a cartoon supervillain shit with him. Well, like, he just thinks he's better and he should run everything. He should take over the world because he's Hitler 2, 3, and 4, and he's Joseph Stalin, and everyone who picked on him in high school will eventually pay.
No, dude, you can't.
When his weather dominator is finally finished.
Look, you can't hold him to saying he's Hitler 2, 3, and 4. That was just irony. That was not bad optics. Does TRS even say stuff like that?
I want to kill. He's like Lex Luthor in Superman Returns. Nick, you want to kill millions? No, billions. My God, dude, you evil little shit.
But this like TRS even say like this Mike.
I've never heard TRS literally like
say I'm going to be Hitler 2, 3, and 4.
Like they were Cobra Commander. I've never heard anyone in TRS.
I'm going to be Hitler. My internet legacy is going to be Hitler 3 and 4.
I've never heard anyone. You know who else I've heard talk like Nick on this kind of shit? Movie Bob. That's the other guy I've heard go off about how if he was king of the world, like there'd just be mountains of skulls everywhere of all the people that make fun of him.
I mean,
he wants to be Magneto. I was like,
and I mean, like, I know you don't like Catholicism, and a lot of the people who don't like AF, but like, Nick's opinion on women is not really reflective at all. Unlike the mainstream church opinion, even within like traditionalist spheres, like the idea that you shouldn't get married and have children is like a really weird thing that like a lot of trads will make fun of, like radical Calvinists for having that kind of
like
or something.
Okay, so there's like a hyper conservative trad Catholic position that marriage is basically, or I'm sorry, that sex even within marriage is just for breeding. You know, it's just for breeding, and that's because they want they want high Catholic birth rates. Okay, fine, but even with that, like Nick, none of them are even like denying the fact that sex is fun. Like Nick is talking about like one day he'll have a wife and he'll put a baby in her. He's talking about being balls deep in vagina. Like it's the grossest, like it's like this is him going to the cross, like he's Jesus.
Okay, sorry, if I
This
could
is
just clear. No, so
like
the position is that sex is enjoyable and people should enjoy it, but it should only be enjoyed while there's the possibility. Well, it's called an openness to life. So it's not that there's anything wrong with it. They don't. There's an objection to separating the procreative and partnership aspect of it.
well, you know, most people want to separate the procreative part because they don't want to have kids, at least at that time.
No,
Nick
I know,
wants
but
to separate it because he doesn't want to have the sex, which is really weird.
no, like I'm just saying, even within like a lot of radical trads, Nick's position is weird.
Well, that's because Nick is, again, he is a homosexual at best. He's at worst some sort of weird asexual person who the puberty fairy never visited.
Because I feel like it would be a lot weirder if he wasn't gay.
Like, yeah, that's what I mean. If he's not gay, then something is medically wrong with him, and he never went through puberty or something. Like,
well, someone points out he was a test tube baby.
Maybe that's what I don't know. Maybe there is like a medical.
He was created
problem
in
with
a
him.
way that involved no sex.
So maybe that's why he thinks that's how we should create babies now. No more. He talks about having to one day impregnate his wife, like Jesus praying about going to the cross. Like he's like on stream, like, please let this cup pass from me. Like vagina is just the scariest thing in the world to him.
So here's the thing, like that I always found really weird. So as far as like conservative Christians, be they Protestant or Catholic, the position that you shouldn't have premarital sex is very normal. You would agree with me on that. So Nick would just have to say, look, I don't believe in premarital sex, and I'm not going to get married anytime in the near future because I'm busy with my political stuff. So I'm just celibate. And if he just said that, that would be fine. But when people have tried to give him that out, he explicitly denies it. I think he says that he's an incel because he didn't choose for God to not make him attracted to women.
Okay,
I think is how
I think if he went with the, oh, I'm just saving myself for marriage and I'm probably not going to get married anytime soon. Okay, fine. I think there'd still be people making fun of him because he still seems like a closet homosexual. And it is weird. Even if he didn't seem like a closet homosexual, it is weird for a man his age to, even if you're chasing women to get married, to not be chasing women. Okay, a healthy man, he's 23 years old. A healthy man his age, his body should be screaming at him to find a pretty girl and get up in his guts, his guts. That's what Nick's body's screaming, but get up in her guts. That's your instincts are telling you to do that. You're, from teenager and young adult like that, as a young man like that, that's just something if a healthy young man, even if he's suppressing it for religious reasons and I want to be more, that's fine. But it's very weird that he doesn't seem to even have those urges. So yeah, there'd still be people making fun of him. That said, though, it wouldn't be like it is now. It wouldn't be like everybody's just like, okay, he's
no, but I mean, like people like me who would defend him though. Like if people were making fun of him for just like not having sex with Rand like all the time, and he said, "Oh, it's just I'm busy with the movement and I don't believe in just sleeping around." I'm just saying people like me would be willing to kind of give him a pass or defend him.
Like I'd make a joke or two at him, like okay, I that's not why, Nick, you're just a queer. Like I'd probably make that joke, but it's not something. It's not something you'd harp on. And I wouldn't. I'd probably make a joke. I'd probably be like, yeah, that's why, wink and a nudge.
I mean, but it's like it would be a really easy out that would basically give him shields from a lot of the like gay accusations. But rather than just take the out that's being thrown to him, he does these bizarre like rants about how he's an incel because he didn't choose to not be attracted to women. And like having sex with women is gay. Just all this other really fucking weird.
I'm going to throw out a theory. and I'm hesitant to even say this because it's a big, they could give me all sorts of shit and say, oh my God, look at your spread rumors. I don't know for a fact. This is a theory I heard, and it fits so well that I just kind of think, oh, there's a big maybe there. I could really see somebody like Nick with his mental state having been someone who was molested in a prepubescent age by a woman. He is so ridiculously repulsed by women, horrified by the thought of women, to an extent that goes beyond even just being gay. I know gay guys who don't have that level, like who aren't nauseated by just the thought of a vagina. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're just not interested in it. It's just not what they want. But it's not like if they saw a girl naked, they'd pass out. Nick seems like, honestly, like something's wrong with him deeply, to the point where I'm like, being gay is almost like the 10th thing wrong with this man mentally. Like,
well, did you? I don't know if you noticed, but when he was debating Jim, he said all women are pedophiles.
Yes, that was a big thing where I was like, and I had heard that theory before, and my ears perked up on that. I'm like,
it was just a really weird thing.
I think I have questions for his mom and aunt. Like, that's all I'm saying. Do I know anything? Obviously not. I'm just saying something's really wrong with this guy. And look, we can sit here and we'll have some fun and we'll have some laughs because fuck him. But at the end of the day, this is somebody who's poisoning the well on right-wing issues. This is somebody who's leading young men, dare I say, grooming them, ruining their fucking lives, when they should be out there trying to build their life, trying to find a decent job, trying to make some money, trying to find a girl, become a man.
Mm-hmm.
And he's poisoning them mentally. So, it's fun to make fun of him, and it's interesting to theorize what exactly is wrong with this obviously mentally ill individual. But there's also a broader point here about the nature of Isalab, about the nature of political movements turning into cult of personality, and about the fact that a whole bunch of young men are being let off a cliff.
Yeah. Which is kind of the thing, the things that make it go from me just laughing at him to actively disliking him is I agree he's poisoning the well, and he's making people who have any kind of views to the right of the GOP look like just complete retards. Regardless of whether they're libertarians or trads or whatever. And he is ruining a lot of kids' lives. Isn't it don't they ritually humiliate members of America First who get girlfriends?
Yeah.
I remember, didn't they ritually humiliate Kai Clips over having a girlfriend or something? Like he had to apologize?
Can you? Yeah, yes, they do. And can you imagine that? Can you? Again, these are young men, teenagers, young adults, early 20s kind of thing. This is not a good thing. This is, and by the way,
it's probably because Nick was clearly in love with Jaden in that case. Well, he won't stop talking about Jaden. Clearly a lover scorned in that case.
But Nick's totally heterosexual, guys. He's
the most heterosexual person in the world.
I imagine cultivating such an anti-gay audience when you were so obviously gay. It's such a weird thing.
I don't know what to tell. It's just fucked. I don't know. I feel bad for the groypers. For all the kids, the stupid kids who got into this thinking they were going to save America.
Again, what exactly about America is Nick interested in saving? He doesn't believe in the concept of freedom. He hates the working class whites. He what piece of what you would traditionally call America or Americana outside of fucking McDonald's does this guy seem to value?
I mean, nothing.
Like he wants to save America because that's where McDonald's is.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think the China debate really showed that. Like his belief that like we have to support China. That was another good.
That's a good talking point.
That
That's
was a
good,
big-brained idea. And I mean,
China economy strong.
and I mean, like the problem is, I mean, I guess for me, because I don't actually a lot of his kind of edgier views I actually theoretically agree with. It's just he doesn't actually even really hold them. So it's I don't know. It's just a grift. Do you think he's a Fed? Because I still am undecided if he is. Or not.
I don't know. Like I said, he's compromised by somebody. I don't know if it's the Feds. Part of me leans towards it was just some conservative ink guys with money and power.
I'm going to hazard a guess
that blackmailed him.
No. I'm going to hazard a guess that he was compromised after January 6th, and Milo is his handler.
I mean, that could be. He's
Milo
definitely
is
compromised.
admitted that Milo has admitted to working with the FBI.
And by the way, me saying conservative ink and Glowy's compromising him is hardly mutually exclusive. There could be a lot of these guys that are assets end up becoming assets for a number of people.
Right.
That's ultimately what does them in is they've got, too many masters to try to please.
Too many dicks to suck.
Well, that wouldn't be a problem for Nick. Come on. That's it. Come on. I think he can handle that. I think he's got no problem there.
Also, I mean, I don't know. The optics thing is, I think, that might be the most baffling aspect of this entire thing. The guy who's obsessed with optics has the worst optics of anyone.
Let's be real. He doesn't talk about optics anymore. That is a drum he beat back in the day.
I think he sometimes says it.
When he was trying to I haven't heard him say that in a while.
Okay, I could be wrong.
That was back when he was trying to use that as like his big competitors, in the alt-right, the TRS guys and the Wignats and the Cantwells and all that. That was something he beat over the head of his competitors to try and get him out of the way. But yeah, once they were gone, I never really heard imagine trying to go on about optics now, where you're going on about your Hitler 3, 4, and 5, and you think vagina is gross. Like what salt of the earth conservative type, constituent guy is going to hear that and be like, oh yeah, I want to vote for this young man.
Mm-hmm.
I want to vote for the sociopath who says women physically repulse him.
It's pretty sussy.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people are going to be like, I can't wait to vote for that. Sign me up.
The sussy squad.
What's that? He has a best friend who eats poop? Even better.
So what do you think the thing was with Ralph? Like, do you think he just thought because he had to know who Ralph was. Like, I don't believe his claim that he had no idea who Ralph was.
I think he just thought Ralph was going to draw a bunch of eyes to his thing. And I don't think he thought anybody was going to criticize him because he's so arrogant. I mean, Ralph was a draw a couple years ago. I mean, Ralph could, back when Ralph's show wasn't about Ralph.
Ralph does, well, until recently, he did have the unique ability to be the only person who could book a lot of these like weird fringe guests. Like no one else.
Ralph used to put on a hell of a show back in the day. There's no getting around that.
Mm-hmm.
And then all the other, internet blood sports guys, all of them imploded on themselves. And Ralph was kind of the last man standing. So he was top of the sector for a while.
I mean, he was.
And not so much now, but he was.
What do you think happened on the first trip to Portugal?
I've heard the theory that he was trying to find a 14-year-old.
I tend to believe that one because that's the funniest.
You see, it is funny, but the thing with Ralph is what happened is Ralph, in some manner, acted a fool and pissed people off and got his ass beat. Now, what did that involve? Trying to get a 14-year-old prostitute, or did that just involve being Ralph? I don't know. Like, it's not
Probably.
like there's any shortage of things Ralph could piss people
Do you think he
off
was?
doing.
Well, I mean, let's see. Realistically, he probably was just going up to people at a bar and going, "Do you know who I am? I'm Ralph. I'm a white man, and you got to have sex and suck my dick."
I'm the top of the sector.
Remember when he talked about like because he was like, "I'm a white man, and like the black Portuguese women are going to prostrate themselves before me
Before his fucking 3-inch dick.
before his American dollar."
No, Ralph, they want the big white cock, not the little white cock. Oh, God.
He probably just mouthed off to someone at a bar. To be honest.
You know what? I didn't ask for it, but I've seen a staggering amount of e-celebrity penis in the last few years.
Mhm.
I never asked for it, but there it is. It found me. E-celebrity penis finds a way. And why are they all small? Why is it all of them? All of these guys?
No, but it was not.
I think Pro Jarrett's the biggest.
No, but dude, it was
little.
It was the camera angle. It
wasn't, Ralph.
It was the camera angle, and it wasn't fully erect. And
that's not a bad angle. Okay, don't tell me it's the camera angle. That's actually a pretty good angle if you want to, take a picture of your junk and send it to somebody, which I'm not necessarily recommending, but that's not a bad angle for that. Because you don't want your face.
So what is Ralph's? Does he even have a explanation for what happened with that? Like, what is his cope that I'm just wondering. Like,
he couldn't have made that work. First of all, his room is a goddamn mess. Like, if I was gonna do that, and I wouldn't do that, if I was gonna be up in some young lady's guts and film myself doing it, nice POV shot, I think I'm gonna clean whatever, at least the portion of my room the camera's facing, and then the whole thing. let me take my thumb ass to mouth.
Did you hear the cope he said about that one?
I heard him actually deny that. Like, I heard him literally at one point say that sex tape wasn't mine, and it's like you're just making shit up. At this point.
He recently said for the nose thing that he wasn't eating shit. It's that his nose is fucked from all the years he's done cocaine. And he was trying.
But Ralph, it's not just the sniff. People can hear you sucking on it. Ralph, you took your thumb ass to mouth, okay?
No, but I've never. What is his explanation for how the sex tape got released?
Originally, he was bragging about the fact that he released it because fuck that bitch.
Because he owned the halfway cuck.
Yeah, he was fighting with her father or something. He wanted to literally, watching your daughter go Ralph Mail.
No, okay. So actually, I'll pull the story because it's funny. So Faith's ex-boyfriend.
Oh, that's right. He was fighting with Faith's ex-boyfriend. That's right. And he wanted to be like, I was all up in her.
The ex-boyfriend released a text Faith sent him where Faith said that she never had sex with him. Never had sex with Ralph. So while he was streaming, Ralph sent him a link to the sex tape. so he to show as a way of owning the meth dealer.
I got 3 inches of that pussy. All right. I bet he probably got more of it than you did, though, Ralph.
Now, to be fair, I actually was kind of on Ralph's side on that one because I thought that Faith was actually worse than him.
Oh, I'm sure Faith is a piece of shit. Don't get me wrong, but
and Faith and the Vickers are fucked.
There's no defending that kind of revenge porn shit. There really isn't.
Oh no, I'm not defending. I would not be surprised.
I'm just I hate to sound like a white knight. Maybe I sound like I'm old fashioned here, guys. But if if you're with a lovely lady, or maybe you're an America Firster and you're with another boy, and you're filming it, you don't release that without their permission. You just don't do that. You don't leak it without their permission. You just do not do that. That is not cool under any circumstances. I'm gonna white knight. I'm old fashioned like that, Argent. I'm going a little trad on us here.
I'm gonna be honest though.
I'm
I
chivalrous.
would not be surprised if she didn't encourage him to release it. If she
I
did.
don't know. But it doesn't seem like she did. It doesn't. And he never really has said that. So I'm gonna say that this was probably just him thinking he's owning the A-Log.
Thinking that he was like a Memphis 10.
Look at me. I'm sticking my 3-inch wiener in your girl here.
Mm-hmm.
Is it even being cucked if somebody with a dick that small fucks your girl? It's almost barely getting cucked.
I don't know.
It's like what's the term for getting halfway cucked?
Well, I mean, they call him the halfway cock. That is his name. Because his Twitch stream was called a halfway crook. So people called him Chris Kerr the halfway cock. In reference to that.
But, I mean, he lost a court case for revenge porn. And I don't think revenge porn is very easy to prove.
So he pled no contest. Which I looked it up because it seemed really weird. So no contest is I don't confess, but I'm not going to dispute it.
Yeah, but let's be real. You do that when you think you're going to lose.
No, you do that when you know you're going to lose. But it's kind of sleazy because it protects you from getting civil liability. Because if he had have pled guilty, then he could have been sued civilly or something like that. I don't know. The American justice system is fucked. The fact that Ethan Ralph is not in jail is evidence that the American.
I mean, give it time. Like, he's on a state sentence, from what I understand, which a couple months ago or a few months ago, that's when it started. So he had a year from that point that he has to keep clean. He's lucky. He like right now he's talking about, and who knows if he'll actually do it. Right now he's talking about, I'm gonna go visit Jim. I'm gonna go to Jim's house, and I mean, it's very easy to pull a stunt like that and catch, if not a trespassing charge, at least a disturbing the peace. You know how easy it is for a cop to charge you with disturbing the peace in this country? Basically, if you annoy a cop, you can get charged with it. If you made a cop actually have to work, you can get charged with disturbing the peace. Like, it's so easy for them to throw.
To be honest, if I was like in bumblefuck nowhere, Minnesota, or wherever Jim lives, and Ethan Ralph shows up and he starts a hollering, I'm probably gonna want to just get him deal with him.
I mean, that's a good way to get yourself killed, if not charged with. You know, go bang on his door and then Jim shoots you and legally gets this.
Well, I mean, but like Ralph has threatened these people on his show.
Yeah,
like, he said
literally,
he's gonna
he could go to court and say this guy is on numerous streams saying he wants to kill me.
He said
he wish he could kill me.
Jade, like numerous.
You know, he wants to rape my wife. He wants to burn down my house, and then he's banging on my door, hollering and squealing. Like,
because I think that stuff is like. I know that the First Amendment covers a lot of stuff, but I feel like eventually one of the death or rape threats that Ralph makes is gonna. Well, I mean, I guess it kind of did because he told Cog to come fuck with him, and Cog went and fucked.
I mean, you can get away with a lot of stuff. First Amendment, like you could say, "I would like to do something," or you know, it would be funny if something happened, or I wish I could, or what. You just can't make a statement that I am going to do this. You know, it's fine for me to say I.
Yeah, it's called. There's literally a Supreme Court case called Brandenburg v. Ohio that establishes the limits on this.
You know, like wishing harm upon somebody is not a threat. You can't. You're not a fucking wizard. You can't harm them with your words. Okay, you know. Like,
you can say like. I wish somebody would go break Forney's kneecaps.
Yeah,
you can't say I'm going to go hide in the bushes outside Forney's house and crack his kneecaps.
Yeah, saying I wish this thing, unless I'm holding a genie lamp, that's not an actual piece of violence. Just wishing harm upon somebody. But yeah, when I say I intend to commit this crime, I can't do
Well,
that.
I mean, like, Ralph will say, "I'm going to go to Minnesota and rape your wife." So
Yeah, like you can't do that. You
I'm
can't
pretty
do
sure
it.
that that's not covered by. I mean, no
By
one
the
would
way,
want to bring it up.
you know who went to prison for that about a year ago?
Who?
Our
Wasn't
old
it
friend
Cantwell?
Christopher. Yep.
Oh, good old Cantwell.
That's literally called transmitting threats, interstate threats.
By the way, you know what continues to make me laugh to this day?
What?
There is a comic book writer who I see him frequently writing various Marvel comics, and he's done other stuff, named Christopher Cantwell. And I always wonder, does he know about the other Christopher Cantwell? Like, I made a joke a while ago because I first saw his name like on an issue of like a Doctor Doom ongoing series, and I'm like, what happens in this issue? Does Doctor Doom rat out his other villains to the Avengers and then stick meth up his ass?
He has to know. I think there's actually some like journalist named Richard Spencer who has to specify on his Twitter profiles like, I'm not the Nazi, I'm the other Richard Spencer.
Yeah, no, I'm not the crying Nazi. I just write comic books.
What does Richard Spencer even believe in?
Richard Spencer.
Okay.
No, he believes in bully bourbon.
I mean, in all fairness, he was the first person to call Nick Fuentes a sociopath. So,
well, it
takes one to know one, I guess. Yeah, but he called it.
I mean, I don't say this with any kind of mirth because I used to consider Fuentes a friend of sorts, and he and his crew were very helpful and supportive of Terror House in the beginning. I think Fuentes is legitimately evil. I mean, the whole homo and tranny porn stuff is funny and gross. I don't even really consider that to be his worst sin. I mean,
No,
he's fucking blackmailing his confidants and the NDA stuff and blowing his people into the feds when they try to leave his No Girls Will Love Loud tree house. That's sick fucking shit. I didn't think someone would be able to out evil Richard Spencer, but Fuentes somehow managed to do it.
Yeah, I really, right after that that Jim's debate, I was like, man, and you know what else? And I'm not even exaggerating. Remember when Jim used to like, when he was having all those debates, quote unquote, with that Jonathan Ross guy, the autistic schizophrenic pedophile. Like,
yeah.
I watched those streams a whole bunch of times over the years because they were very fascinating to me because Jonathan Ross was this perfect storm of mental illness. I mean, yeah, he was a pedophile. He was also autistic. He was also schizophrenic. He was probably a bunch of other things we haven't diagnosed. He was so insane that it was fascinating to watch. And I kept getting little vibes of that off Nick. And what I mean is like, Nick would say shit to Medicare that was so retarded, so dumb and corny and nonsensical, and then like sit there with smug satisfaction, like, haha, got him. And it just reminded me how Ross would do that all the time.
Yeah, I know.
The thing with Fuentes,
like I'm not kidding. I got Jonathan Ross vibes off him. I'm like, you are really fucking ahead, aren't you?
The thing with Fuentes is he has gradually weeded out everyone in his life who was willing to call him on his bullshit. Anyone who could have checked him or told him like, dude, you need to pull back. What you're doing is stupid and retarded. The only people in his life are just dick suckers and toadies and yes men.
Well, he kicked out all the competent people.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that there's usually a correlation between.
No, I mean, yeah.
So he exists in an echo chamber of people who just tell him how wonderful and smart and handsome he is, and his delusions and mental illness has just skyrocketed since then. I mean, his response to that the Kino Casino stream where Jaden and Simon went on, which is probably like the most important show they've done since that's where all the blackmail allegations and stuff were revealed. He goes on, he does an hour-long stream, 40 minutes of which is just lobby music. And then when he comes on, it's just him, staring into the camera, wearing shades, blasting Kanye, and he thinks that's an own.
It's like some sort of Andy Kaufman act.
Oh yeah. Okay, the thing that actually made me start to think he might be a Fed was when he was trying to explain his legal fees, and he was like, "Look, I paid $150,000 in legal fees, and none of my donors paid for it. And there's like last week, one of my donors gave a check for $50,000 to my lawyer, and." Like I can't even remember it, but I swear he contradicted his story like 4 or 5 times.
Like the same breath.
Yeah, you know what I'm referring to, right?
Yeah,
Well, we're talking about someone who's basically detached from reality. I mean, the Jonathan Ross comparison seems pretty apt.
I'm not even exaggerating. I kept getting like shades of Jonathan Ross. I'm like, oh
And
man.
like, I don't even someone like Richard Spencer like could never have like that guy was fucked from the start. He's like a genius. I think Fuentes, like, had he stayed in his lane and like had people around him who, you know, had his best interest in heart, like Fuentes could have like been someone. If he had, the fucking movement was a mistake. America First as a political movement was a stupid idea. What Fuentes should have done was just stayed at his level of being a talking head. Because like when I knew him, you know, like I haven't spoken to the guy one-on-one in like 3 years, but like he was a very personable, very friendly, you know, very generous guy. You know, he was very good. You know, he's very good at debates. He's very good at explaining complex political concepts, narrowing it down. You know, he was, you know, when he started, he was a very funny guy, very personable. If he had just stayed as a talking head on YouTube, you know, doing an entertaining show, and not try to, you know, think he could be some major political player, and just stayed at that level, he'd be perfectly fine just now. It's all these guys who think that they're going to be the next, I don't know, Trump or whatever. That's where they always get into trouble. It's the same thing that happened to Spencer and all these, you know, the retards at TRS. As soon as they start thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to start marching in the streets and running a political action committee, that's where the trouble always fucking starts. And it always devolves into some reason into a gay sex cult.
There's a yeah, indeed. There's a big difference between being, you know, I guess a thought leader, if you want to get all pretentious about it, and an actual leader. You know, being a talking head or entertainer or some combination of the two is a lot different than being a politician and actually governing. And I remember back in the day, you know, say what you will about Rush, and certainly, especially during the Bush years, there were plenty of reasons to shake your fist at him. But, you know, numerous times people tried to say to Rush, oh, why don't you run for office? And I mean, you could say, well, he was making so much money, he didn't want to. But also, he kind of recognized, like, I'm not a politician. You know, I'm meant to be doing exactly what I'm doing right now. And Nick just kind of never had that distinction. I mean, he really thought, oh, I'm going to rule the world. You know, I'm gonna.
Like honestly, if he had have just stayed as like a right wing, like as part of the Trump faction of the Republican Party, who knows? He could be like running for Congress by now. Or at least
Plus, there's another factor here. Is like these guys, you know, Fuentes, you know, Beardson Beardley, you know, Prince Hubris, they all came out of the ashes of the alt-right. And like shows like the Weekly Spat were focused on digging up the dirt of people like Richard Spencer and all the horrible shit they do. I mean, it seemed like yesterday, you know, we were all in that stream with Luke Ford, you know, just, you know, haranguing the shit out of people like Jim Goad, who just couldn't get it for their thick skulls that Charlottesville was a massive disaster for everyone. These guys knew exactly what a complete clusterfuck the old alt-right was. And then they go do a U-turn and repeat the exact same mistakes that the alt-right did. And they go and do even worse things, okay? No one, you know, Spencer wasn't, so far as we know, blackmailing people. He at least has that to his fucking credit. Fuentes is blackmailing people, allegedly.
Well, he never denied that, did he?
So far as I can tell, he just totally sidestepped that.
I think what he said was, none of them complained about any of the bad shit I did while they were working for me, so it wasn't bad. I seem to remember he didn't deny any of the actual allegations against him. He just said that like the people were complicit in them. So
Well, that's the most psychopathic logic I've ever heard.
I mean, I still contend that I think Nick is himself blackmailed. If not by the feds, then again, somebody conservative think maybe Charlie Kirk himself got to him. Who knows? But again, that Groiper War stuff, that was making a big difference, and that was having a positive effect. And
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the Groiper Wars were funny, but I mean, there's only so much like Fuentes and his people can fucking
there is. But I mean, you really did take a fight to Conservative Inc. and you asked them questions they didn't have answers to, and I mean, there was powerful imagery in guys like Charlie Kirk and Dan Crenshaw, sitting congressman, getting basically humiliated by a dorky 18-year-old. That had a positive impact. It did. And you could say maybe there wasn't anywhere else they could go with it, but I mean, there had to have been a better place to go than weird homoerotic misogyny. There had to be a better position to go to.
Well, the big mistake the big mistake they went was not was okay. That was a mistake. But then they started doing conferences, which is again a big mistake that the fucking alt-right did. Conferences, which is the big thing that's going on right now is that Fuentes is spiraling over Bronze Age pervert because Bronze Age pervert and the Frog Twitter said don't go to VoiperCon, don't go to AFPAC because you'll probably get fucking doxxed.
Well, there was the dox cam where they panned the entire crowd.
And not only that, let's be real. A lot of these are dorky teenagers. They're kind of scurvy.
That's a great way to start your life out. Go to AFPAC at age 18, get doxxed immediately.
Yeah, remember last year when he went into CPAC and he had all these Spurs following him, and that video clip just be Twitter and YouTube was just
America first.
Yeah, they were all just laughing at these poor kids for and I mean, it was funny.
It should basically destroy the one redeeming thing Fuentes had at that point was that he wasn't cringe, and that completely destroyed what was left of his public image.
And then so many people, some lefties were making this joke, and fair enough. It's a good I saw somebody with rainbow and BLM and I think a hammer and sickle in their profile name on Twitter, literally say aren't these the guys that hide behind Giga Chad memes when they're mocking me? And it's fair point. I mean, you might be nothing either, but fair point. You know what I mean? Somebody's hiding behind the Giga Chad meme.
I think this is just kind of proof Bronze Age pervert, right? Face fags are never to be trusted because it seems like they always turn out to be fucking losers and lunatics in the end. From Spencer to Fuentes, they all end up immolating.
There's something very destructive too about the whole E-celeb thing, politics aside. I mean, there's guys that can handle it and they keep going for years and they remain professional. You could look at AVN, you could look at maybe a few other gamers.
Well, those are guys are not in politics. The political
even in politics, you could probably host a show, a podcast. You know what I mean? Maybe 5 days a week, 2 hours, and you could probably do that and not go insane.
I mean, a lot of talk radio show hosts are able to do it for decades.
But you'd have to first of all, there's a discipline to being an E-celeb. I mean, Nick gets up at he sleeps 16 hours a day, and then he eats McDonald's, and he's straight. You have to have some sort of anchor. You have to have a set schedule. I mean, I remember a couple years ago when I was between jobs. I'm a night guy. I'm up very late. I could very easily be sleeping all afternoon or whatever, especially when I have no job and nothing anchoring my schedule. So I literally like drew a line. I said, look, I'm a night guy. I don't have to get up early right now for work, but I'm not going to sleep any later than 11. You know, I'm going to be up, showered, you know, bed made, breakfast eaten, ready to do whatever I have to do in the day by like 11:30 or 12. And I know that's not bright and early, but I was just like, I have to draw a line somewhere so I don't just endlessly drift. And I think a lot of these guys, well, I'm my own boss now. Well, that's a dangerous thing if you don't, you know,
Have any
if you're not a hard ass boss on yourself. That's a very dangerous thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only person who can, well, there's other people obviously, but one guy I think is really good at this, regardless of what you think of him, of his politics, whatever, is Sticks. That guy's like doing like 4 or 5 videos a day. You know, he takes maybe one short vacation a year. He's like writing and editing books constantly. He's doing other shit. Like, say what you will about it, you know, his stupid appearance, you know, his like cringe Satanist fucking takes on religion, you know, his libertard politics. Guy's got a hell of a work ethic.
I mean, look, I'm more in line with I have issues with him, but I'm more in line with Sticks politics than Nick Fuentes. But I'll say this: for all his cringy surface level stuff, Sticks certainly leads a more trad life than Nick or virtually anyone else in AF. He's a husband, he's a father, he's a homesteader. He doesn't consume a whole bunch of pop culture media.
He's got good taste in him.
He's a business owner. You know, he's obviously reasonably self-disciplined. He's kind of skinny, but these days you could probably call that in good shape. My ass ain't kind of skinny. Yeah, this is he's more trad than the trads, and he has 666 in his handle. Flubby says at least he no longer wears leather jackets bare chested.
Oh.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to wear a vest and no shirt and not look gay. I think only Toad from Super Mario is the only person that could do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Me personally, I've tried to stay out of this as much as possible, just because, well, I think it's better for my mental state and whatnot, just to kind of stay out of these spats.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me offline before, or not offline, but off the air before that, and I kind of agree with you, and it's a large portion why I'm not streaming much anymore. I felt like talking about this, and I felt like having Argent on because he's a different perspective on this than me, but he still agrees that it's all fucked. But yeah, I don't want to get caught up in a lot of this drama anymore. I like what PPP is doing. I like what Kino Casino is doing. I think, regardless of their motivation, right now they're doing the Lord's work. But it's a dangerous look. I've had feuds with people, and I've had feuds with people where I feel it was very righteous to go after them. But yeah, you can get self-righteous about it.
I already see. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I already see like the people who are going after Fuentes and Ralph going into that position. Like Kino, you mentioned Kino Casino. You know, I already see like, okay, Andy Worski. Like, I don't really have much of an opinion on him. I find him annoying, but like whatever, neutral. I personally find PPP absolutely disgusting. Like visually, he's repulsive, obese. His voice offends me. He's like 2 devil horns and a fucking Slayer riff away from being a Doom mini boss. And from my understanding, like he's got like a history of being a lolcow himself. My understanding, and you know, you feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. The reason he's had a vendetta against Ethan Ralph for years is because he used to stream on stream.me, you know, when that was still around. Then Ralph came over to the site and started getting attention, and that just pissed the PPP off. So he starts basically stalking. The two of them got into a feud over that. And then PPP got banned from the site because he got drunk and showed his asshole on stream. And then he did a bunch of other cringy shit. I'm gonna hazard a guess here. The reason PPP is so obsessed with taking down Ethan Ralph is because he is Ethan Ralph. Like, they're both disgusting wiggers who have this compulsion to embarrass themselves online. I'm not gonna, I'm not gonna act like I'm better than watching Kino Casino. I find some of their shows interesting. I like the one with Jaden and Simon on. Like I know Simon. He's an all right guy. I appreciate the fact that he broke out of the Fuente, the America First cult, was sharing some of the information that I knew. But I'm not going to hold PPP up as some kind of righteous figure. And you know what's going to happen when Fuentes and Ralph are spiraling, and when their careers, Baked Alaska, all these people are just reduced to charred cinders. Kino Casino, PPP, Worski are going to snake on each other. It's going to happen. Like they're making jokes like, oh, they thought we were going to snake on each other. It's going to implode. There's going to be and there's the whole enterprise is going to collapse, just like the Weekly Sweat collapsed, and all these enterprises inevitably collapse. It's going to turn into another self-feeding vortex of drama. Like that's basically what Kiwi Farms is. Just a bunch of depressed people looking for more shit more drama to amuse themselves with.
Yeah, if you're doing a show like that, you definitely want to save your money because you never know how long it's going to last. Look, the one thing I'll give PPP credit for is that he seems to be very, very upfront with his faults. He seems to, and I always like that. I'm willing to give somebody benefit of doubt when they're like, yeah, I'm certainly no saint myself. I'll give them the benefit of doubt there. That said, though, it is a danger when you're going after these kind of guys that you can start feeling self-righteous. Because look, I'm pretty fucked up, but I'm not Nick Fuentes. I'm not Ethan Ralph. I'm not Beard Soy. I'm not Dalton shitting my pants while I play a Lego Star Wars game. I'm not any of those people. I'm far better off in any measurable way than any of those people. So it would be easy for me to be like, well, I guess I'm doing great. But God doesn't grade on a curve. So it's don't go down that path.
Yeah, and also feel free to call me a white knight or whatever. I don't get the harshness towards some of these people. Okay, like I said, I believe Fuentes is legitimately evil at this point, and I don't say that lightly. I think Ethan Ralph is legitimately evil. Through his own, he's fucking trying to destroy everyone who makes fun of him on the internet, in every way imaginable. Baked Alaska. Maybe not evil, but he's fucking.
I think Baked is evil.
Yeah, he's malicious and so straight up retarded. He doesn't understand how malicious he is. I don't think Beardson is quite on the same level. I think he's just a loser, to be honest. And I don't say that again. I don't say that.
Do they really? I don't know. I feel like they more just make fun of him for being a retard.
I think he's someone I hope gets his life together and gets away from these people.
Beardson, I would say, of all the people we just listed, is probably objectively the least evil of the bunch. But I mean, we're kind of talking about who's the smartest kid on the short bus when we talk about that.
Oh, to be fair, yeah, it's like being on the short bus. I don't think inherently is inherently
which one of these kids with Down syndrome has the highest IQ? Well, whoever it is not going to be not going to be a rocket scientist here.
I don't know. I think it's hard.
But again, I don't track I don't track what these people are doing as closely as some others do. So,
I mean, look, yeah, most of the stuff Beardson's been doing has just struck me as pathetic. It's like you're sitting in a gamer chair screaming how you're superior at some black guy on Xbox Live when your life is in total shambles.
That's the only sympathetic thing about Beardson.
I'm a white man. It's like your life is in absolute shambles.
Well, again, with him, it's like, he used to be the guy who made fun of people who got into fucking, movements and took themselves too seriously. And now he's the guy who takes himself seriously and is into movements, which confuses the hell out of me. But like I said, I hope he gets I genuinely hope he, pulls away from these people and gets his life together.
I mean, look, I am a Christian and I don't believe anyone is beyond redemption. So any one of these people with some sort of divine intervention could turn their souls around. I wouldn't put money on it, but yes, it could happen. And that would be great. It would be great if Nick actually became an actual Christian instead of it being some stupid LARP he can hit people over the head with. You know, same with Bake, same with the whole lot of them. You know, Ethan Ralph, Christ is Kang, Christ is Kang. You know, everyone points out the hypocrisy of him saying that while he's such a degenerate that, you know, sticks his thumb up girls' butts and all. But the thing that really struck me is the true hypocrisy of his self-proclaimed religion. The other day, he's on Twitter and he says, I will never forgive anyone for what they've done to me in the last few years. I will. And it's like, yeah, nothing says Christ is king quite like loudly and proudly proclaiming your undying bitterness and unforgiveness. And especially over what? You got teased on the internet?
Remember when he went to war with Nick Rekieta because he made fun of him for
for farting?
Yeah.
One it looks like he basically just makes a new enemy every single day.
No, everybody on Earth is his arch enemy.
I'm gonna fight with Lauren Southern today. And then it just turns into her mocking his penis size on Twitter for 2 hours and then he runs away. Like it just
Well, it's like as we said with that the one girl who read the super chat and then he spent the next hour just screaming at her like a crazy person. She's his enemy now. Anybody who watched that show is his enemy now because they think he's a lunatic.
I still can't get over the fact that, like, I love that clip from the Simcast where it's just 5 attractive women are just laughing at how repulsive and sexually inadequate Ethan Ralph is. And I think that would be the worst day of my life. Like, I would want to kill myself after that. And that's just Tuesday to Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's just another day at the office. Barely registers. Like that's every man's nightmare on a primal level. It's deep in your soul. And Ethan Ralph is just another day in the life of the Ralph male.
Mm-hmm.
Another image that just sticks in my head is iconic. When he got his ass beat in Portugal last time, he's sitting on the ground Indian style. His shorts look like a diaper. He looks like a giant Tommy from Rugrats there. And he just impotently like holds up both middle fingers. And it's like, yeah, so defiant, Ralph. Like, I can't imagine how Ralph doesn't just log off for a day and go, what am I doing? What have I done?
Well, I mean, the dude's so he's drunk. He does weed. What is it like Xanax and like opiates? And I don't know. There's so much. Like I don't know how he
seems to do like every drug, cocaine.
Yeah,
I mean,
cocaine.
Are there rumors that he's done heroin? I wouldn't be surprised.
I wonder if he's a Fed, because I don't know where else he gets his money from.
You know, that's actually a really good question. I was wondering that the other day. Like, I mean, I know Portugal's not the most expensive country to go visit in Europe by any stretch, but plane tickets aren't cheap these days. So you have to imagine it's at least a few hundred, if not at least $1,000 to fly back, you know, to
it's $1,000 Canadian. Probably.
I mean, it's a chunk
probably
of money.
Not even that, to be honest.
It's a chunk of money, though. It's nothing, you know.
First off, like
to go to Burger King?
Feds do not get paid that much. So, like, I really doubt he's a Fed. Yeah, he probably does make enough. Like, I know people like Ralph pretty well. Like, he splurges a lot on stuff like that, but like. Consider that he probably lives in a trailer or like squalor and like he skips out on paying for shit that he actually needs. Like his baby is.
He doesn't get the super chats he used to, which by the way, I haven't gotten any super chats, folks. Streamlabs.com/Bedglov. But he doesn't get like people have showed like sometimes he'll stream like 8 to 10 hours a day. And he would have made more money if he'd have gone and worked at Wendy's. You know what I mean? Like way more. He's not bringing in the money he used to. He did. Most of the views over at Cozy are fucking bots. Nick's not bringing in the money he used to. None of these guys are.
By the way, who starts a professional streaming platform and calls it Cozy?
That was the meme of the week when Nick fucking like that's literally the meme about Pepe or whatever that Nick saw.
No, I know, but I mean, you want to like if you're a serious political movement, you want your streaming platform to be cozy.
Remember last year or 2 years ago or something when everyone was doing the clown world stuff and like every new podcast was called like the Honk No State or Honkler or something like that. It's like, yeah, maybe you don't name your show that you intend to do for years after the meme of the week. Like, imagine being the guy in 2022 who's still hosting the Ugandan Knuckles fucking show.
Remember the show that was called The Gas Station?
I'd like to announce I'm going to be hosting the Ugandan Knuckles show tomorrow. I'm bringing it back, guys. Yeah, you just look like the guy in 1997 who's still trying to sell Pogs. All right, like it's over.
I haven't heard a Pog reference in like a decade or more, and that's awesome. I remember Pogs.
Pogs are like NFTs, except they actually exist.
Also, I'd like to point out Ralph has managed to get his ass kicked in Portugal twice, which is a pretty safe country, all things considered. I don't say this again like lightly. Ralph, if he came to my city, he would get murdered in less than a week, given the way he behaves. I think Null, the guy who runs Kiwi Farms, he said something to the effect of like Ralph should really not leave the U.S. because like Europeans and Latin Americans absolutely would not tolerate his wigger bullshit. Americans really are fucking nice people. Like we put up with a lot. Evidence, the Borat movies. They do not. Europeans do not tolerate someone like Ralph going around pushing them around, being all drunk. It was like, you know who I am.
5-star days.
I'm the Ralph
of Memphis Dead.
I'm the Ralph Male.
I like when he's like, they're gonna prostrate themselves before my American dollar. Like, Ralph, you do realize they use euros in Portugal. It's not like they use like pesos.
They're gonna suck my 3-inch dick.
My dream is that Ethan Ralph and Joe Exotic do a podcast together.
By the way, he has diabetes.
Oh, do we know that for a fact? Or
he was wearing diabetes socks.
Those are diabetes socks he's wearing.
Yeah, I know. I just don't think he's ever confirmed it formally.
No. If he doesn't have diabetes, I'd be amazed.
He's not going to confirm it formally. Like that would just be more ammos for for his fuck.
Oh, and he took a picture. He took a picture of his fucking foot. The when he was pretending like he was going to fight Andy,
and it was grossly deformed.
It was so pale. Like I want you to imagine this. Let's imagine for a moment you work a job where you're cold and wet all day. Like maybe it's a food processing plant or something. You know what I mean? You're cold and wet all day. You know what I mean? And you've worked like a 14-hour shift, right? And you come home and you take your fucking work boot off and you take your sock off your cold, wet, clammy foot, right? Now imagine what your foot would look like right then, right?
Right.
That's what Ralph's foot looks like all the time.
I remember
he's going to die soon.
Wasn't it deformed also?
I mean, it was fat. He's fat enough that his foot is fat. You know what I mean? Like I'm kind of a fat guy, but I don't have any fat in my like hands and feet. But Ralph's way past that point where like his fingers are fat. You know what I mean?
No, I admit just because of the way I am and because of I've never really been in a fight before, but was Ralph's performance in that fight as bad as
it was horrific? It was horrific, dude. He submitted right away. He might as well
seem like he even like
he has such a bad center of gravity that like he can't even he basically a stiff breeze could knock him over.
The guy basically just grabbed his face and lightly just pushed him to the ground. And that was enough. And they just started beating him.
That GIF, he looks like a giant baby getting his diaper changed.
I said he looks like fucking. Somebody put a picture of like Tommy from Rugrats next to Ralph there, and I was like, dude, that looks.
Did he even try to like punch that? He just looked like he sat there and just let the guy.
Yes, you know, for a wigger, he has no fighting instincts whatsoever.
He has hollering instincts.
I mean, he didn't even try to like grab the guy's legs or tackle him or anything. He just
I'm going to holler.
He just sat there like a bitch and just
got his ass.
And then he yelled for the police, of course.
And then there was, you know, the two middle fingers, like the most impotent gesture imaginable.
So I couldn't tell. He's the one who started the fight, right? Like, didn't he?
Yeah, he absolutely instigated. You can hear him like in like the recording, like spitting at one of the guys.
You can't 100% see that he threw the first swing, but he threw the first swing. It's pretty like you can very easily infer it. Like, again, this isn't a court of law. I'm not on a jury. I don't owe him the benefit of the doubt. It's very clear he instigated that fight, verbally at the very least, if not physically. And he fucked around and he found out.
Because like on the tape, Cog is going, oh, let's not press him, and then something happens, and then they immediately get into scuffle. So it looks like Ralph noticed that Cog was behind him, and then he just attacked Cog.
It didn't go well.
And Cog brought the Chav Chad. It's like the British white trash versus the American white trash, and like a face off.
And then Cog just is sitting at a bar, while the whole world is buying him drinks for kicking Ralph's ass. And Ralph's like, who's going to go to prison? I'm telling the cops on him.
I think the funniest part of that was like how like he was just hanging out with the pork chops and they were just like chilling, and he was like not getting beat up by them. It's just, well, I mean, I don't know.
So what happens if Ralph goes to Portugal and get like
for the third time?
Beat up a third time? Is it like when you go to a restaurant and you punch a card? You know, like if he gets beat up, like, you know, like when you go to Subway, if you get like 5-6 inches, you get the 6 sandwich free.
I'm
like,
just sad the Gambia thing never happened.
No. It's like Dorothy tapping her slippers together 3 times. He goes to Kansas.
His ass beat a third time. Like, Ralph, you better not go to. I love how all you have to do too is like the Kino Casino guys just have to say, I bet you won't do it, and then he does it.
I'm sad that we're not going to get the Ethan Ralph African Warlord arc. That is the one that I wanted the most.
Oh yeah, he was sending money to a Nigerian prince.
Yeah.
Trust me, he can't afford Africa. Africa is pretty pricey.
He get murdered in Africa too.
But like Ralph,
oh my god!
But my LARP is he goes there. They like
he get murdered in Africa and eaten.
He becomes a warlord.
He could feed an entire village for a week.
They're just gonna feed him to a lion.
Like the black people there worship him, and he becomes like their god, their warlord.
Nah, it'd be like the beginning of the second Pirates of the Caribbean movie, where they, you know, the scene where Johnny Depp gets, you know, fucking roasted, but they're trying to cook the Polynesian tribe.
Oh my god, this has been quite the thing to watch. Like, I've mostly tried to disconnect online. I've been trying to get some other projects done, but I have to admit, like, you know, the Medicare and the Kino Casino streams on this and like following it on Twitter, I've been like, this has been fascinating because all of these people are shitbags and they're all self-destructing, and it's very amusing.
I admit, I never thought Ralph was going to turn on Jim. I was actually kind of surprised by that one.
Well, didn't that happen like already, like 3 years ago?
Well, Ralph kind of ran his mouth a little bit when Jim sort of disappeared. He got really mad when Jim stopped showing up to make him money. You know what I mean? But like, here's the thing. Ralph took it. Everybody does this with Jim, and I don't know why, because he begs people not to. But everybody assumes that Jim is their best fucking friend. and that he's loyal to him and shit like that. And he's said numerous times, none of you people are my friends. I don't have any loyalty. I come on here to make jokes, state my opinion, and fuck off. And nobody can seem to understand that no matter how many times he tells them.
Oh, I think Ralph, more than pretty much anyone else, thought Jim was his friend.
And Ralph's like, no, Jim's actually my buddy. I've seen this numerous times. I remember the TRS guys one time were on a stream with Jim, and they were trying to be like, well, Jim, if you weren't married to Jade, you'd be a white nationalist like us, right? You're secretly on our side. And he's like, nah, probably not. Like, everybody's like, Jim's actually my buddy, and he's on my side. It's so weird. Like he said numerous times, it's not the case. Nobody believes him.
I don't know. I think he did kind of troll Shield Ralph for a while, to be honest.
He really thought like, oh, Jim's, and then you know what, that stream with on Monday Match Channel of all fucking places, it's like poetry, it rhymes, but what he really did kind of sit him down and try and have an intervention at one point, be like, Ralph, what are you doing? You know. And
well, yeah, he could have really laid into Ralph, but like he was trying to be nice.
I think PPP explained it really well when he's talking about Jim versus Nick. Jim is a nihilist who cares more than he wants people to know, and Nick is a nihilist, is a theoretically like this trad Catholic guy who's actually a nihilist. Maybe I didn't explain that very well. But
I know
Nick
what you mean.
was actually like trying to make moral points during that argument and saying like things are fucked. And Fuentes was just like, it's funny whenever bad stuff happens to people I don't like.
And you know, you can actually take a position. I said this when Nick got thrown off Twitter last year. I said it on my YouTube channel. I said it other places. I said, look, I do not support that. I don't think people should be, I think Twitter, I think all these places should be free speech things. If it's legal to say, it's legal to post. I don't think Nick should be getting thrown off Twitter because of his political opinions or he said a naughty word or whatever it was. You know, unless he's threatening somebody or something like that.
Well, and Arini blamed both you and me for getting him kicked off of.
I said, okay, I don't think that should have happened to him. I also think Nick Fuentes is a piece of shit, and I'm going to laugh at a bad thing happening to him. Mm-hmm. I can hold both those positions in my mind. They're not even really contradictory, you know. Mm-hmm. Nick Fuentes is a piece of shit. When a bad thing happens to him, I think it's funny. I can also say that the people who did it to him, in this case Twitter, shouldn't have done it. So Nick could have gone out there and said, look, I don't support X, Y, and Z, but I'm also not sad that it happens to people I hate. That's just being honest. Without being a, amoral sociopath.
Yeah, although he took the perspective that, because he's the first person I think I've seen who's actually come out and said flagging is completely on the table. Like, who's not even like pretends to be ashamed of it.
One of the more bizarre things about Fuentes, particularly now, it's like he doesn't have a filter. Like going back to your comparison of him to Jonathan Ross, like he says all these things like you would maybe say in private. Like the debate with Jim where he's saying shit like crime is based,
Yeah,
or stuff like
based.
Stuff like that like doesn't make any fucking sense. Or like, why would you say these things in public?
I don't care about the law. Obeying the law makes you a law cock.
What? Yeah, I love Nick's position.
Or he'll like straight up fess up to the fact that he's trying to false flag down people who criticize him.
Nick had this position the whole time of basically like law of the jungle, like there are no rules. And I'm like, Nick, do you imagine you last a day in such a world?
But Nick cries like a bitch more than anyone other than Ralph when anything happens to him. I think one of the things, and this is the point I forgot to make, that I really hate the most about Nick is he is a pathological liar. I don't know if I've ever seen someone who like just lies like he does.
He's also like George Costanza. It's not a lie if you believe it.
Like
just at any moment, he believes exactly what he's saying.
Like when he said that I was not upset when I got kicked off of YouTube and I've never complained when I've been censored. He said that, didn't he? Like I'm not.
Yeah.
But he cried like a bitch. He made like a documentary about it. He's like, I didn't complain when the FBI took my money away. You did.
Yes,
we have
he
video
did.
evidence of that.
Real quick, I got a super chat. Boogie donates $3. He says, "I want to announce my new show, Open Bob Show Vagine." Yes, we should all have shows named after old memes.
Well, I mean, that was Nick's tranny account. The Krabby Patty Science House.
Like he's got like a Fuentes' inability to filter himself. Like it's on par with like women with borderline personality disorder.
Well, that was the reason he disavowed Nick. He's like, he can't stop dropping N-bombs and comparing himself to Hitler.
Or Stalin, which, like, I don't understand that part at all.
I just want to say, though, I was actually surprised that Nick was looking at tranny porn, because I would have thought that them even looking like a girl would be too close to hetero for him.
I mean, I say this with as much compassion in my heart as I can muster. There's a good chance he might end up in a mental institution at this rate.
I mean, he should. Like, all of these people, this whole crew should be removed from fucking society. All right, the sooner every last one of them is in prison or the grave or a nut house, the better.
So do you think it's just their like narcissism that they can't understand that them acting like this and their response to it is just going to get more people to troll them?
I don't know.
Ralph is in case of Ralph, he's a fucking drunk, pillhead, fucking just, Fuentes is clearly delusional and mentally ill. Baked Alaska's a legitimate retard.
Say what you will about the free folk and the King of Canada. They did reach a point where they were like, okay, shit's fucked. We need to retreat. And they fucked off. At least for a while in the one case. Like, they kind of recognized, all right, it's time for a retreat. I don't know that anybody at AF can do that. I don't know if they're capable.
Well, I mean, if they retreated, they're not going to get any more of those sweet donos. That Mexican crack shack in Humboldt Park ain't going to pay for itself. Neither is Ralph's daily medicine maker's mark.
Mm-hmm.
How is Ralph going to get his ass kicked in Portugal for a third time if he's not on the internet making an ass of himself? You got to think about that, Bedglov.
So when they do the 5-hour cope streams about how they don't care and they cry, do they actually like believe it themselves that they don't care? And that by complaining about it?
I don't care, Argent. That's why I'm going to do this 8-hour stream. Because I don't care. That's how much I don't care.
Like,
Christ.
I
have a fucking recording of a space Fuentes did today. Like a 2-hour Twitter space he did whining about Bronze Age pervert. That's how much he doesn't care about Bronze Age pervert making fun of him on Twitter. He spent 2 hours bitching about it.
Like, to me, it's just really dishonest to yell about how much you don't care for like 3 hours. It just makes you look like a massive bitch.
By the way, this is another telling and possibly another thing for the Catboy fetish file. Those of you who don't know Bronze Age Pervert, he wrote a book 4 years ago called Bronze Age Mindset, which is extremely popular. Fuentes has demanded of his followers to take their copies of Bronze Age Mindset, put them in the toilet, piss on it, and then take video of it and put it online.
But wouldn't they have to buy his book though?
Well, yeah, if you own it. Well, first off, go right ahead and urinate on a book that you already spent money on. That'll really show BAP. Number two, film yourself urinating on a book. That's a popular fetish.
Is he trying to get dick pics?
I mean, he's asking. He's asking.
He's like, make sure you get it in shot. That'll really show him.
He's asking a bunch of young men to urinate on stuff. Like that's an interesting thing. Don't put and don't people normally burn books, not urinate on them? I think Captain Catboy kind of told on himself with that one, with that little request.
Look, that's totally normal. Okay,
Yeah.
you're just a jealous hater. And when Nick finally finishes his weather dominator machine, you'll all be sorry. He'll be Hitler 3, 4, and 5.
I don't understand Zoomer humor because I'm just a dumb 30-year-old boomer.
Yeah, I might not be that. I might just be dumb. What is it with the SpongeBob stuff? Can someone explain that to me?
Apparently, according to someone in your Discord, at one point I said SpongeBob is Salo for Zoomers. I may have said that. I don't know.
That is an amazing statement. If you did say that.
In all fairness, though, Matt, I miss when you had the surprise Patrick avatar. That's old school there.
But is it like pizza? Is it some sort of I don't get the SpongeBob thing.
Oh my God! Did you see him talking about? Okay, cheese pizza is code for child porn with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
Nick had a fucking rant about how, for 5 minutes, going on about how much he craves a cheese pizza, and I was literally like, first of all, nobody actually wants a cheese pizza. Okay, cheese pizza is what you order when everyone can't fucking agree on the topping. All right, so nobody actually fucking wants a cheese pizza. He's going on about a cheese. I'm sitting there like, is he literally just confessing to being a pedophile? Or is he trolling, or is he being ironic? What is fucking going on?
Mm-hmm.
Because would that surprise? He's so fucked in the head that certainly wouldn't fucking shock me.
Cheese pizza. That's
But what shocked me is he's just going on about this, and I'm like,
he wouldn't shut.
He
Like
has
5
to
minutes
know.
just talking about a cheese pizza.
yeah, and I'm like, he has to know what the other thing this means. Like he's not innocent and ignorant here. He has to, if he's not confessing, he's trolling, he's baiting.
Mm-hmm.
So
Well, that's a good point that you highlighted there. Yeah, there is that picture of him eating pizza with Milo, a cheese pizza.
Yeah.
And there was they were wearing matching Hawaiian shirts, which is very strange.
It's a little sussy.
I hate that fucking word.
Remember when Milo was the most gay person in these circles?
Does Nick call them the sussy squad, or is that
That's his term, I think.
he actually? Oh, I think
know-
there's something like PvP came up with.
You know, I hate having to say this. I don't like questioning people's conversions or whatever. Milo is I guess Milo and Arini, but Milo's the biggest person whose conversion I question. I don't think he I guess Fuentes, but I don't think Fuentes is a convert. I don't think Milo actually believes in Catholicism. I don't think he's actually straight.
Really?
I think he's just doing it
I'm
to get
shocked.
attention. He's definitely still acting like his old narcissistic self.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this stream up because I do got other stuff I got to do tonight.
Yep.
But I did want to. I was glad to have both of you on here.
Yeah, thanks
And,
for having me on. I had a fun time.
I'll just close with this. Yeah, we sat here, we made fun of stuff, and we speculated, and we gossiped, whatever. We talked about what public figures have done publicly. But yeah, I do want to reiterate, there are young men who are ruining their lives over this. You know, these idiots are poisoning the well, whether intentionally or not. And they're just shitty people doing shitty things.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're listening to this and you're, maybe despite having 30 viewers, maybe I've caught the cat boy's attention and he's sending his fucking army of twinks after me. I beg of you, if you're honestly like, oh yeah, Nick Fuentes is based and he's going to save America, and you're just a dumb boomer and you don't understand, for the love of God, go outside, like touch fucking grass, go get a job. Dog over there yakking. Yeah, you ate your chewy too fast, you idiot. Anyway, go touch grass, go get a job, go kiss a girl. All right, enough's enough. Stop playing Fortnite all day and yelling the N-word at people online, and live your fucking life. Enough is enough.
Stop playing with yourselves.
Yeah. Like, do you want to just sit around and punch buttons and pull your pud and wear cat ears your whole fucking life? Oh, like, just stop. Just stop. All right. Folks, you should check out Argent's channel if you haven't. Funny stuff there. And check out the fine books over at Terror House. And if you ever feel like messaging me, you can message my good friend Andrew Banner over on Twitter, and he'll make sure I get it. Him and I go way back. It's books_Andy. All right. That's about it for tonight, folks. I want to thank you all for listening. Bedglov out.
Night, guys.